Hey, Parent Promise family, welcome back to the Purpose Parent Podcast. Today we have a special guest that I am excited for you all to meet. As you all know, we have a training coming up July 1st, and we are excited to introduce our speaker, Mr. Jason Troup. He is going to introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his background and history. So, Jason, go ahead and take it right away.
Thank you, Candace. I'm so excited to be here on the podcast. Thank you to all the listeners taking the time out to listen to the podcast. I hope you all take away something that is very valuable from this session. As Candace stated, my name is Jason Troup. I am founder, CEO, and head facilitator at Be Enlightened LLC. And Be Enlightened LLC is an organization that was founded upon the principles that are discussed in Romans 12:2, and that verse states, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And in that verse, there's so much, and I really focus in on the this world part because even though in the Bible it could be talking about this physical earth, but there are some worlds that unfortunately that we experience throughout our lives, and one of those worlds could be trauma, one of those worlds could be low self-esteem, one of those worlds could be depression, one of those worlds could be anxiety, one of those worlds could be low self-worth. And so that verse really spoke to me as I was birthing this business, that there are a lot of worlds that we can find ourselves in, but we don't have to conform to those. We can be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And when we renew our mind, anytime that we learn anything and our brain makes those, new neural connections, I envisioned a light turning on kind of in our brains. And that's where I got the name Be Enlightened from, because whenever we learn something, it's like a light bulb turning on. And then when we become enlightened about a thing, we come into the knowledge of, and as the saying goes, if you know better, you do better. And so my journey, my purpose, my mission with Being Enlightened is to, help people become enlightened about things so that they can transform their worlds by the renewing of their mind.
Wow. As you was talking, Jason, I really got chills when you mentioned that verse. And so tell us about, just like a little bit about your family, and then how many years, I don't know if you mentioned that yet, but how many years that you've been in service around this work.
Well, first off, I would definitely like to shout out my family who has, really supported me, especially in this journey of starting my business. I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Marita. We have been married. It'll be 13 years. We celebrate our 13th wedding anniversary on Juneteenth this year. So happy early anniversary, babe. I also have three wonderful children, or as I like to say, I have two adults and a teenager. My daughter Kimani, she'll be 24 soon. I have a son. His name is Micah. He'll be 20 next week, as a matter of fact. And then I have my youngest daughter. Her name is Jaya, and she's 13. And with regard to how long I've been in the field, I've been in the social service field for about 10 years. And ironically, when I originally went to school and graduated high school, I've always loved math and science. And so I thought that that was my career path. And so, I went to school. I earned an associate's degree in chemical engineering from UC, go Bearcats. And so I went to work in the chemical field for about 10 years. And then I switched courses. And actually, it wasn't me switching courses. It was really God, reminding me of, why he created me. He created me to, help people. He created me to serve. And so bringing that back to my remembrance, he led me on a journey to return to college to receive my bachelor's degree in psychology, and then made a way for me to enter into the field. And so I've been in the social service field in various positions for 10 years with regard to the specific content, the advanced trauma competent caregiving content. I've been certified in the content as a participant, someone who can utilize the methods and skills discussed in the training. I've been certified in the content for 3.5 years. I've also been blessed enough to become an associate affiliate trainer of the content. I've been an affiliate trainer for about 6 months.
So thank you for giving us a background to what you do in this work. And me and Jason are actually like service twins because this is my 10th year too. So, big ups to us for dedicating our time to, just giving back to our people. So we're going to just jump right into the question. So this time I didn't ask people for questions. I kind of wanted to give Jason some questions just to, you know, review what we are going to learn in the training. So the first question, and I think not many people know what this is. So the first question is, what is intergenerational trauma?
So intergenerational trauma, it's a term that, I use for to describe trauma that's perpetuated, generation to generation. Many times, and just thinking back to my own upbringing, I've experienced some things, and shout out to my parents. If it wasn't for them, there would be no me. Love them to the ends of the earth and beyond. But they didn't do everything right. They didn't get everything right, and so we often parent from how we were parented. And so, we do and say the things that we learned growing up. And so, with that being said, there were some things that, and I mean, I grew up inner city Cincinnati during the crack epidemic of the 80s, seen a lot of things, witnessed a lot of things, experienced a lot of things. But I'm glad to say that I've overcome a lot of things as well. And so, as I stated before, when you know better, you do better. And so, when I first came into the knowledge of this content back in 2020, I was very skeptical. I was very skeptical. I was working at a local elementary school at the time, and one thought that I had was that the people that were facilitating the training, I thought to myself, these people have never spent one day, let alone 1 minute, inside of an inner city classroom of a school that has high needs. And so I was very skeptical, but I was committed to coming into the training and giving it an honest shot and coming into it with an open mind. And when I say that this training, this knowledge has literally transformed me, not only professionally, but in my personal life as well, it's literally changed the way that I parent. It's literally changed the way that I seek to connect with my kids and even my wife, who we've all have been, through some very rough things. We've all experienced, some form of intergenerational trauma. And so this information, this training that I'm so blessed to share has literally been transformative to me. And I hope it's as transformative, if not even more transformative, for those that will be attending our training.
Thank you. So, one thing I like what you said about that and what this training has done for you is help you, do some things differently in your life. And so, whenever I am thinking about trainings or thinking about workshops for our parents, I'm always thinking about real life application. And so, that's why I am so excited for you all to join us at this training so that you could learn how to apply these things in real life. So much is on the internet, so much is on, it's trending right now, and it's like people think that things happen overnight or think that things happen just right away, and they don't understand that some of the things that we go through, we have to put some real application behind it. And so, thank you for sharing the definition of intergenerational trauma. So, for question 2, Jason, I would like to know what real life application will we get from this TCC training?
Absolutely. And so, first off, this training is Introduction to Trauma Informed or Trauma Competent Caregiving Training. It's an introductory training. The full training is actually 9 modules long, and it covers a variety of topics. So one of the real life applications and one of my big takeaways come from, and I tend to call these the superpowers. And the reason that I call them the superpowers is because in module 5 of the full training, it talks about the power of various things. And one example is the power of yes, how we can use the word yes even in situations where we're kind of saying no, but instead of saying no, we're using the word yes. And, our brains, they are so quick to attach to the negative. And so, you know, when we hear the word no, sometimes we tune out. Sometimes we have a reaction. Sometimes we block out everything else that was said afterwards because we get stuck on that word no. And so the power of saying yes, and I can give a quick example to it. Say you have a child that wants to go outside. You as a parent, you want that child to clean their room up first. And so that child comes to you and say, "Hey mom, hey dad, can I go outside?" Instead of saying, "No, go clean your room up first," using the power of yes, you can say, "Yes, you can absolutely go outside as soon as your room is clean." And so what that does is it gives that child something to look forward to, and hopefully it gives that child a motivating factor to get their room clean because they can look forward to going outside because they really want to go outside. But it's like, okay, mom or dad said yes, I can go outside, which is what I want to do, but as soon as I get my room clean. And so that's an example of how we can use the power of yes. And there's other superpowers. There's the power of connecting. And there's other superpowers as well. The intro training touches on them a little bit. But to learn more about the superpowers and real life applications, come on out to the training because I'll be talking all about it in great detail.
So, Jason, you mean to tell me we're going to get superpowers during this training?
I mean, that's what I like to consider them as because it's something. And when I first took the training, I'm like, man, this sounds so simple. And once again, I was coming into the training originally back in 2020 as kind of a skeptic, like, wait a minute, this stuff is not going to work. It's not that easy. Literally, it can be that easy. But once again, nothing happens overnight. And so these come along with, continual practice, continual application before you might see some fruits of the application. So these are things that we are encouraged to do and do often, and then we'll get to see the fruit from our labor, so to speak.
So, yeah, I'm excited to learn what superpower I'm going to be taking away from this training, and I hope you are too. And so we're going to go into our next question, which is really not a question, but outside of what you just shared, Jason, when you talked about the superpowers, what other part of this training, if you can give us like a little snippet, is something that you found very powerful or valuable to the real life application of the information we're going to receive?
I could pick out so many things because this training, even with the training being an introductory training, is so rich, it's so full, it's so robust. It has a lot of things that can be taken away from the training and applied to real life situations. And so, as a facilitator, and I want to preface, before I answer the question, I want to say this: as a facilitator, I never aim to talk at people. I envision my trainings to be as interactive as possible because I understand that people come with their own individual circumstances, their own individual stories. And my hope as a facilitator is that the participants don't just take my examples, come with your own examples from your own individual situation and being open to asking questions, or hopefully a participant will have that aha moment. It was like, oh, I was doing it this way, and apply this to this situation that I find myself encountering time and time again. So, as a facilitator, that is my hope for the participants that come out and participate in this training. Now, to your question, Candace, one of my favorite parts in the training, it talks about how we have things in our life that we can't control. We have things that are a part of our stories that we may not like and we can't control. For example, and me, I'm an open book. I can only talk about me and from my experiences. But that doesn't mean that I'm not open to other experiences. I know my story better than I would ever know anybody else's story. So I like to use a lot of personal examples. One of the things that I had growing up that I didn't like, but I could not change was I grew up with really bad juvenile asthma. And so with that, and I'm talking about so bad to where doctors told my parents like, hey, in order for this kid to have a chance, you all need to pack up and move to Arizona where the air is drier, it's lower humidity, less pollution, and coming from humble beginnings, I'll say it like that. Coming from humble beginnings, we didn't have the resources to just pick up and move thousands of miles away. And so, thus, we remained in Cincinnati. And that was something that I had that, I used to get teased by friends because I would be outside playing, and then all of a sudden I would have to take a break. I would have to take, a hit of my inhaler. And, when kids don't understand something, they make fun of it. And so, I was the butt of a few jokes, but I never let juvenile asthma stop me. I played soccer for 5 years growing up. That was the first sport I played, and anybody that knows anything about soccer, it's a lot of running. There were some times where my parents were on the sideline and they would have to take me out of the game. They would see me struggling to breathe. I would always have my fast acting inhaler on me, but having that as a part of my story, that was something that I didn't like and something that I couldn't change. And so the training talks about taking those things that we have that are a part of our story that we don't like and cannot change, and moving from being mad to being sad. And what that means is moving from a victim mindset to accepting those things and really learning how to grieve those things. And it talks about, and it gives some, in the training, gives some tips about the grief process and how, some ways that people can move from mad to sad about those things and grieve those things so that they can accept those things as a part of their story. But once again, encouraging people that that doesn't have to be the end of the road, that doesn't have to be the end of the story. And so, unfortunately, sometimes we have to play the cards that we're dealt. And sometimes life can, deal us a pretty harsh hand. Or, anybody that's familiar with the game Uno, you're playing Uno and you've got Uno, all of a sudden the person, next to you, they hit you with that draw four, and it's like, oh shoot, I thought I was about to win. Now I got four more cards. And so understanding that sometimes, life, does those things to us. But we can always, there are things that we experience, but there are things that we can overcome. There are ways that we can heal from those things that we don't like, and that we can't control those things that are a part of our story, and really taking it from a victim mindset to a strength based mindset. And I'm proud to say, with regard to my childhood asthma, um, I got to the point to where by the time I was, say, around 11, 12 years old, I mean, I was taking medicine to control my asthma every day of my life, up to that point, taking my fast acting inhaler when I needed, taking breathing treatments when I needed them. I was in the hospital probably every year because if I contracted the flu along with my asthma, that was a 1 to 2 week hospital stay, to the point where people at Children's Hospital, like, they knew me by name. That's how often I would get, sick with, asthma and, combined with other things. But I say that to say, by the time I was like 11 or 12 years old, I took myself off of my asthma medication. I still use my fast acting inhaler, but I took myself off of my asthma medication, and I haven't had to have a fast acting inhaler since I was probably like 13 years old. And I was carrying it with me just as a precaution. And as I've grown up, I haven't had any complications from asthma. I'm so thankful for that. I'm an avid basketball player. I mean, as I get older, it's harder to move around, but I still do it for the exercise, and so I haven't had any complications related to asthma since I was like 12 years old. And so, taking something that I had that I couldn't control, taking it from a victim's mindset to a strength based mindset. And, I sit here, and I can say proudly that I've overcome juvenile asthma to where I can be as active as I want and not have to worry about any complications from asthma.
So all I'm gonna say after that is I hope you are ready to grow. I am excited about all that we will learn during this training. Those are all the questions that I had for Jason, and so we are about to wrap up. But before we wrap up, Jason, I would like to know how we can support you. Let us know your social media. Of course, we got the training coming up July 1st. We're going to put the location and the registration form on the show notes, so look out for that. Seats are limited, and, this won't be the last time we do it, but the first time for something is always special. And so I want you to be a part of this special moment with us. And I want you to experience healing in just a unique way. And that is always the goal of Parent Promise. And like he said, this is going to be an interactive training. So, I want you to come with your heart open, your mind ready to learn and to grow. So, Jason, let us know how we can support you, where we can find you. Yeah, go ahead.
And absolutely. And first, before I give my social media handles and everything, I want to thank Candace. I want to thank Parent Promise for, just for inviting me to share this information with parents. As I said before, I've been in the social service field for about 10 years. Um, I'm only one person. And so, in working with children, youth, and families, being as I'm only one person, I have to know my limitations because my heart is so big and I want to help so much, but I can't be everywhere at once. Once again, I'm only one person. However, with helping people to be enlightened about trauma, the definitions of trauma, the effects of trauma, some of the effects of trauma, trauma affects the 5 Bs. Those are biology, brain, body, belief system, and behavior. Trauma affects the 5 Bs, and it affects it in different ways. And once again, we talk in great detail about that in the training. As Candace stated, this is the first of hopefully many, and looking forward to continuing to partner with Parent Promise to share this information with parents, so that my hope once again is that there are things that parents can take away and apply to their real life situations. They can take this information and use it in their homes. And so with this information, I'm able to educate, say, 10 parents. Those parents have families, they have kids, and so multiple people are receiving trauma competent caregiving in their home every single day. And then those kids will grow up to be able to share some of their experiences, their positive experiences with their families as they grow and they produce kids. And so I'm really excited about the multiple effect, the multiple positive effect of this training. And so with that being said, you can follow me at Be Enlightened LLC on Instagram. It's all one word, Be Enlightened LLC on Instagram. And on LinkedIn, if you all are LinkedIn, you can follow my company page as Be Enlightened. And the word in the word enlightened is the word light. And I really sought to draw attention to the word light. As I stated before, whenever we learn something new, our brain makes new neural connections, and it's like a light bulb comes on. We come into the light of that thing. And so the word light in Be Enlightened is in parentheses and capitalized because I really wanted to draw attention to that part of the word. This training that we're doing, my hope is that it's a light for all that participate. My hope is that it's a light and it illuminates things not only that they've experienced in their upbringing, and I'm talking about the parents, they've experienced in their upbringing. Hopefully they can make some sense of some things or gain the courage to really confront some of the things that they've dealt with and go on a journey of healing to where they can help not only heal themselves but heal those around them. And so once again, follow me, Be Enlightened LLC on Instagram. Be Enlightened, once again, the word light is in parentheses and capitalized on LinkedIn. I'm also in the process of making a Facebook page, so that Facebook page will be coming soon. And also, and I'll share this, my dream and my goal is to establish a clothing brand along with my trainings. And so be on the lookout in about the next year or so, maybe even less, for Be Enlightened Apparel. So once again, Candace, want to thank you for this opportunity, and I'm excited for our training. If you are a parent, if you are a coach, if you are a mentor, if you are just someone that has a big heart for children that have either been exposed to or experienced trauma in their lives, and you want to learn more about how to join the movement, because I really believe that it's a movement to reduce the effects of intergenerational trauma, please, please, please come out to this training. Each participant will get a workbook.
Hold on, Jason. Don't give too much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Look,
doing too much.
yeah, Jason trying to give away all the bits and pieces. Look, I just needed y'all to know that you're going to be in a very powerful room, and you're going to be in a room ready to heal. And I am appreciative of Jason for, sharing his time, your service to this field, and just, being a black man in this community that's standing up for our people, because it's not a lot like you. And so we commend you for that. And so Jason has one more thing to add, and then we're gonna really wrap up.
Thanks, Candace. I really want to take this time. I really want to speak to the dads out there. Shout out to all the dads out there. Father's Day is coming up. I hope your families take great care of you. But I really want to speak to the dads, because many times when opportunities like this come about, the women tend to come out and they'll outnumber us, a lot to a little. So I really, really, really want to invite the dads out, because this training, this information challenges some of the norms that we've grown up with. And so it's really opened my eyes as a black male in the field of social service to some things that I've experienced growing up, that I've, been conditioned to do or to not do. And those things unfortunately are have the ability to have adverse effects. And so I really want to encourage the dads, if we have to put together a separate session for the dads, and maybe that's something that we should work on, Candace. Put together a session for the
Jason
dads.
trying to give y'all too much, because I love dropping projects on people just randomly. And so yes, we have talked about our dad, our single dads, married dads. Our dads groups are coming, because I told God, in order for me to do, I'm a single mother. I know how to be a mother. I don't know how to be a dad. But once I found a dad that I like how he dad, like Mr. Jason, and that just comes with so much knowledge, we are definitely going to start up our dad group. So be on the lookout for that in the next season of Parent Promise. And so You can follow us on at Parent Promise 513 on all social medias, LinkedIn. We on Twitter now, even though I don't talk a lot on there, but I'm gonna get better. But we are excited that you listened to us today. We hope to see you at the training. And until next time, we want to leave you with our slogan, which is positive parenting only. And thank you for listening.